Welcome back to another episode of the Dunwoody Dialogues. This show is produced by Discover Dunwoody, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. You know what we do here. We talk to great people. So go check out the feed below us, or if you're on YouTube and you don't see a feed, go to our podcast channel. We have a playlist is what it's called on YouTube. You can go find all of our shows there in that podcast channel. So in Dunwoody, we have a few people that are, probably retired. However, no matter what, all of our residents are going to hopefully retire someday. So today, we have a guest that'll make that transition a little easier. Now, while we look forward to this conversation, I do want to mention Discover Dunwoody does not advocate anything that our guests may say. It's up to you to make that decision. We just want to share great ideas with you. Now, I've met the requirements of our lawyers. Let me introduce you to our guest. We have Ryan Doolittle with us today. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mark. And you had promised me you'd advocate for everything I said.
Yeah, 100%. Well, when we start talking about things that you should buy, you may be on an island, like, okay, yeah. But you're not going to do that, are you?
No.
Okay. Well, let's get into who Ryan is. You're the host and producer of the Happiest Retirees podcast, but it doesn't sound like this is something you immediately jumped into because you're a comedian and writer by, can I say by trade or
Sure.
by preference? Is that
it's kind of an amalgamation of the two, I'd say.
okay? All right.
Yeah.
So I love this. Before the show started, I asked him this: what is a comedian?
You know, there's different definitions. For me, it's anyone who tries to make people laugh, but specifically, I've been on a stage holding a microphone trying to do that. So that's kind of how I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I love that. As a matter of fact, I do think that's always been my definition, but I never thought about it, that you got to have a microphone, you got to be on a stage, and there has to be at least two people in the audience. Two is probably
two wasn't even my worst night, I don't think.
What is that show? The Magnificent Mrs. Maisel. Have you seen
yes,
that?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Did you take your shirt off in any of your shows?
I don't have the same appeal.
That's a great show. So, what you do is you like to explore and actually it's the art of living a fulfilled life after a career. After being, and this is what's super interesting, he is officially the second furthest guest we've ever had. So because we do everything in person, you got to show up here. So You're from LA.
Yeah.
What? So he flew out here just to be on this show. No.
Hey.
You were in town.
Yes. No, it was just for the show. Yeah. We can go with that.
We'll stick with that. And you spent some time writing and being a comedian, and then you connected with Wes Moss. Who was Wes Moss?
Who isn't Wes Moss? Wes is he's a financial advisor and a radio host, and he works at Capital Investment Advisors. He hosts Money Matters on WSB Radio every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You don't have to advocate for that, but in case someone wants to listen.
Sure.
And then there's also a podcast of Money Matters, and then his Retire Sooner podcast. So I, about 11 years ago, started helping him because he was writing a book, and he might be the one financial advisor who wanted some jokes in his book.
Right.
So I helped him sort of make it palatable to someone who's not just into finance.
So you said you kind of punched it up.
I punched it up.
Yeah. So you made it a little more interesting, because I will be honest, I'm not really going to jump out there and want to read a financial book.
I was the same way. I didn't even want to read it when I was writing it. And then, but that's also the thing is Wes is really, he understands a lot more than I do. And I started to get interested in it as I was doing it. And at the time I was just like, where can I make a joke? But I think it has helped people who were overwhelmed by finance in the past to go, okay, well, maybe I can read this. Because I know everyone in my life, kind of their eyes glazed over when I told them what I was doing.
Right.
And then as I tell them more about it, they kind of open their minds up a little bit.
So don't sell yourself short, right? I'm spending time with you. You're very talented. I think Wes needs you, right? Clearly, Wes needs you because this is also somebody that's smart. They know what their talent is. And his may be that financial piece. And so he needs you to help punch up his content. And you're continuing to work with him. You work with him on every show, right? As the producer? Was that your official title?
I'm one of a few. I mean, the whole staff is very talented.
Okay, good.
I don't know if they'd say that about me, but I hope they would.
All right. So we've kind of teased this out, what you're doing for Wes Moss and Capital Investment Group. Advisors. I had a feeling that last word I was going to get wrong. Do they ever abbreviate that? CIA?
They do.
Oh, my goodness, CIA.
They do it all the time, and they don't even acknowledge that that's a little strange. And I don't know, maybe it's probably really good for people to remember.
Sure.
But I'm always a little... When I'm emailing people, is this going to get me flagged with someone?
There's going to be somebody out there that's watching, somebody with the NCTC in DC, like, whoa, just don't send that email to somebody in, a foreign country that's been deemed as a terrorist threat.
Exactly.
I think you'll be fine there. Well, explain why you do what you do.
So my goal is to help retirees become happier, which obviously you'd assume from the title of the podcast, which is the Happiest Retirees podcast. But a lot of it is showing people who have already retired or if they're thinking about retiring. Here are some things we've learned from interviewing a lot of retired people, and specifically the ones who are happy, and finding out what they did to make that happen, and see if you can emulate that by putting your own spin on it.
So your show's not how to invest.
No. I don't. In fact, if I ever give you any information about investing, you should probably do the opposite.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't do that because I leave that to the smarter finance.
Do you say go see Wes?
Yeah. Wes can help out there. I handle the lifestyle aspect.
Interesting.
So what it comes down to is I always found growing up that I enjoyed talking to people's parents. Now I have some gray hair of my own, so it's not quite as weird. But that's basically all I do on the show is it's like I'm talking to people's parents, and we're always on the same page.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you have said that you think the word retirement is outdated. How is that? Yeah. How so?
When you say retirement, people think of a lazy boy chair and just turning on the TV. Is that what you think of?
Is that wrong?
If you love that, it's not wrong. But I think people think if they just stop working, that's all it takes to be happy. And what we've found is that's really not true most of the time. So you really need a plan. You need to figure out who you want to be, and what that means often is what you want to do.
Wow. So this is so interesting because I know when people look at retirement, and just by saying the word retirement, I think money. Mm-hmm. I really do.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do. And I've actually said that I don't think I'll ever actually retire.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to want to be engaged in something, right? In some way, being around people. Like I look at those folks that are retired that are greeters at Walmart, and I think, that's probably not a bad gig.
Yeah,
right? Because you're engaging people, you're doing something, you have purpose. I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, and this is not something I've studied, that you've got to have some sort of purpose, even in retirement.
Purpose is a huge word for what we do. And I do want to say that you saying you're not going to retire is a big relief to your listeners.
Well, I don't know about that.
But really retirement, another reason it's kind of an outdated word is the goal isn't to just stop doing anything. It's to start doing more of what you want to do.
Okay.
So in that way, money plays into it, obviously, because you need to have a financial security that allows you to do that. But once you get past that, you really need to figure out some people know what they've always wanted to do. I interviewed a couple who they were really good at the clarinet, and they always loved it. but they had kids and they had to raise a family and make money. But as soon as they were at the stage where they could do it, they jumped back in full force, and they ended up playing at Carnegie Hall.
Stop.
Yeah. So that's kind of like what we're trying to get people to do. I mean, you don't have to go to Carnegie Hall, but get after what you've always wanted to do. And if you don't know what that is, start thinking about it before you retire.
So I have heard that it's somewhere like 62 and a half years old, or maybe 65. Once you hit that age, that Georgia State, which is in downtown Atlanta, will allow you to go to school for free. You can go back there and go to class. Yeah, I love that. Go to class for free. And I think, wow, that would be so cool.
Wow.
Because there's so much that I'd love to learn. And like history, I think history is absolutely fascinating. I would totally go and audit some classes.
Can I be 62 now? I want to do that now.
I think it's 62. Don't quote me.
Okay.
But it's definitely north of 61.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But they offer that. And I think that's a really interesting opportunity for those of us that want to continue to learn something new. And especially with life experience, everything becomes more interesting. I'm just telling you, I have found this. The older I get, the more interesting so many things that I thought were boring become. And to be able to harness that, I think would be fun, right? I would never play a clarinet, right? I do think the clarinet is one of the coolest instruments ever, but music may not be my talent, but learning something I think would be highly engaging.
It's crazy. The things that interest me now, this morning I was listening to classical music and working on something, and I thought, who am I? And my wife says that when she hears me doing that. Why don't you listen to something cooler? But I don't know. You change and you or maybe I was always interested in it, but I didn't know.
Sure.
And that's kind of similar with retirement. Figure out what you've always wanted to do and go for it. Like, when you're little, people say, what do you want to do when you grow up? But I think once you're actually grown up, you can ask yourself again, because you get to grow up again now that you're free,
I've always thought that really the whole experiment of life is backwards. We should be born old and die young.
Yes,
right?
yes.
How great would that be?
Yes.
And to be able to take all the knowledge that you gather and to apply it to high school. How much fun would high school be with the knowledge we have now?
I would have actually been listening, not just to try to pass, but because I was fascinated by the
Right.
Hawley Smoot tariff or whatever it was,
I don't know where he pulled that out from. You'll have to check Wikipedia to see if he actually said that right. I don't know. So are there 5 things, are there 5 life lessons, or maybe I don't know what you would call it, that retirees seem to employ that are the best number 5 things, the best top 5 things? I'm not saying this well. I'm gonna stop talking.
No. So yeah, we in fact, if you read one of Wes's books is called What the Happiest Retirees Know, and he lists 10 habits for the happiest retirees, and 5 of them are financial. So
Okay.
I'll stay away from those. But 5 of them are lifestyle. And so the first one is, we found the average. I should define what a core pursuit is. It's like a passion passion on steroids. Like,
Okay.
you wake up and you're thinking, I want to go play pickleball in Dunwoody, or I want to
Do that.
do that. Yeah, not golf, because I don't want to cross the border.
Well, no, golf is good.
Okay,
It's
golf.
still, it's called Dunwoody.
Okay. Or tennis is okay. Here's a great stat. Tennis sports are actually among the most healthy, racket sports, because there was a study done, I think, out of Iceland that showed it increases lifespan somewhere around 9 years or something.
Because all the people in Iceland are playing racket sports 24/7.
Right. They have no stress other than winning that game.
That's right. And it's not cold there. It's not like they have to hit with their hands cold.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, but I'm sure it's a good study.
Yes, I'll have to go back.
Did you
and
make that up?
consult it. No,
is that
no, I
real?
didn't make it up.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. So
Only a comedian would be able to take that from me.
I just go through. I need Icelandic study stats. So that's a core pursuit, and we found that the average happy retiree has about 3.6 core pursuits. So somewhere between 3 and 4. Maybe you love golf, tennis, pickleball, and, sewing or something.
Do people need to sit down and write them out and think about them with purpose?
I would highly recommend that.
Okay.
Some people just naturally know what they are. I've always loved the clarinet or whatever it was. Other people really don't know. So that's actually a resource that Wes provides. We have a core pursuit finder. So you can just go in and type in kind of what you like doing, and it'll give you options of suggestions of what to do. So you want about 3.6 of those. The next habit would be to live near at least half of your adult children. Now, this can be tough.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying that the rate of happy retirees that we've talked to tend to have that. So
what if I have 10 children?
Then I would say you
I
and
just
your
need
wife
to be
are
near
pretty
5 of
happy. Yeah. That we've never had that many. But,
Okay, all right. I don't, for the record,
Okay.
but I wanted 10.
You wanted 10, and your wife said
She
no.
wanted 1.
She wanted 1. So how many did you
We
end up with?
compromised. We got 3.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we compromised it at 1. Okay. 3's a good number. Yeah. In fact, Wes always jokes because I think his stats showed him 3 was the most ideal number of kids. And then when he had his 4th, he's like, oh, dang it. Now
He broke it.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So it can be tricky because say you move to a new city to live near your adult children.
And then they get transferred to another city?
That can happen.
Yeah.
Or maybe and then you don't know anyone in the new city. So I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying what we've found.
Sure.
And it makes sense. You want to live near the people you love the most, right? And what is also important is don't live with them, just live near them.
That totally makes me laugh, by the way. So my wife and I, all of our kids our youngest, I should say, is a senior in college.
Okay.
So, and then the other 2 are in 2 other cities.
Okay.
But we do love spending time with them. And we're going to make a new policy, if you will, that once a year, we all need to go on vacation with each other someplace. Right?
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Even though they're not with us, we still, thank God for phones. I don't have my phone on me. We have the family text channel and we're constantly talking to each other. So that's nice, but it doesn't replace being in person.
No, it doesn't. And in fact, it's funny you say that because this year my parents took my sister and I and, our kids and my wife on a vacation. And they are saying they want to do it every year. Or my mom's saying she wants us to do it every year. My dad's on the fence.
He must be paying for it.
Yes, exactly. But it was really a magical experience so I see exactly why you're doing it.
So one of the things that we said to our kids, because we didn't want it to become a financial burden for any individual person, is we said, and they're all in, by the way, they've all agreed to this, that we're going to divide it.
Okay.
Among all of us, right? So we will divide it among everybody who has a job.
Okay.
So hopefully my youngest gets a job soon and she can play with that, but we'll make it palatable, but we don't want to make it a burden on one person.
Yes.
Because that becomes a barrier to doing it. Because you'll have one person like me saying, not doing it, too much money.
Right. And you want them to be able to go more so than you want to make sure they've given you the last $5 or whatever, whatever. Yeah. Good. So, okay. So then we have...
So that's 2?
That's 2.
Okay.
The third one is, and don't get angry, but happy retirees are 4.5 times more unlikely to be happy if they aren't married.
Well, wait, say that again.
Yeah, I kind of flopped. So if you're not married, you're 4.5 times more likely to be unhappy. That's what our study
so you're more likely to be unhappy if you are not married.
Right.
Okay.
So yes, and I don't know if we phrased it that way because our lawyer thought it was better, or
it's all good. And I got to put it in Mark speak because my brain works a certain way. So this is interesting. I'm going to round up.
Okay.
5 times more likely to be unhappy in retirement if you're not married.
Yes, according to the surveys we've done.
Okay. In Iceland.
Right, playing tennis.
And they live in an igloo. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So, and what's another interesting thing we found is, say someone has been divorced and remarried, that doesn't necessarily count them out of this. We found actually that that first, like, it sounds a little flip, but the mulligan, you got divorced and remarried once, does not negatively affect happiness.
What if I'm on my fifth?
Yeah, then it starts. Then it kind of becomes a problem.
Diminishing returns.
And you might need to look in the mirror and figure out what
I was going to say. Our lawyer said we endorse none of this.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you know what, though? But let's be honest. That makes sense.
Yeah.
My wife and I keep bringing this up, but anyway, my wife and I are in that space where the kids are now, they've moved out. And we appreciate each other, that we realize, oh, wow, this life experience would really suck if we were by ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And that has to be part of that, because there's that, yes, we know each other extremely well, and there's all the things that go with being married 30 plus years. But the value is those experiences, those life experiences, those shared life experiences they pay dividends. And when we look over them, nostalgia, wow, that was much fun. And we realize how important it is that we have each other. We're also taking care of her mother, who is in assisted living by herself. And we're able to reinforce that because, wow, she's not necessarily, she's probably lonely. We feel like that.
Yeah.
And that tells us, that's got to be important.
Yeah, that really hits home. We've had some experience in my family of taking care of that, and that kind of sandwich generation where you're taking care of kids and parents. But what you say about empty nesting, you're kind of empty nesters now, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I have a 2-year-old son, and
you got a little while.
Yes. And I'm glad before I had him, I didn't fully realize how much it's going to hurt when he leaves. I hate every milestone. It makes me so happy, and I want to cry because it's just like, don't get older. I love you. So you've been through that 3 times.
Yeah. And fortunately, all of our kids hold a very equally weighted importance to us, because they all check so many different boxes. And we see them succeed, right? Mm-hmm. So there's satisfaction there, like, wow, I'm so proud of you. But it's also the ability to connect with them in a way that's significant, is so important. But when my son and my daughters were 2 and 3, I was trying to figure out how I was going to get to work, get home, feed them, and get some sleep. Mm-hmm. I was really caught up in the moment. So you're a lot further along than I am. I never, ever thought about the day that my kids would leave. And in some cases, I may have thought I would want that sooner.
Yes.
But full circle, the beauty of life is the way. So I've always said, as a parent, it's the first time you truly get to experience what it's like to do something for someone else without any chance of return. It's the most selfless thing you do as a parent, right? Or, let me rephrase that. That one of the most selfless things you do is to be a parent.
Yeah.
And it's astounding.
It really is. It's the hardest thing I've ever done and the best thing I've ever done.
That's so cool.
It's and I know what you're saying, because I'm constantly caught up in the moment, or every time I think I've grown and I can zoom out, I'm back into, like, I didn't get enough sleep or whatever, all that happens. But you try to. It's still just the best. I mean, the way that when they call you dad or what, I didn't know how to. You can't feel it until you've been there.
So he's you're one. You have one child.
One, yeah.
And he's 2.
He's 2.
Has he come up by the bed in the middle of the night and said, "Mommy or Daddy, I don't feel good"? Has that happened to you yet?
No, because we still have him chained in his crib.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to warn you. One of the first things we learned with the first child is, the first child comes up. This is inevitable. They come up middle of the night and they say, "I don't feel good," and you think, "Honey, just go back to sleep," or maybe you jump out of bed. I don't know. What we did is like, "Oh, really?" And before we knew it, the things that were making him feel bad had been thrown up on us all over the bed, right? So we learned quickly, when a child comes to your bedroom in the middle of the night and says, "I don't feel good," you jump.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Dog owners know this, because dog owners know that noise that dogs make as they're about to throw up, that launches you out of bed.
Oh my gosh,
right?
yeah.
Same thing happens. "Mommy, Daddy, I don't feel good." You jump out of bed. You learned that though, so I'm just
Yeah.
warning you.
Thank
Be
you.
ready for that.
That is good advice.
middle of the night.
Yeah.
They'll show up. It always happens.
Okay, good to know.
I have totally taken you off track. We're on 3.
We're on 4 now.
Okay, we're on 4.
So 4 is you want to have at least 3 close connections.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
and that really is getting at friendship. That someone, we all have acquaintances or even maybe friends that we talk to not very often. But this is more like someone you could turn to if your life was really, having a challenging moment.
Wow. Okay.
So you want to try to have at least 3 of those.
3.
3.
Not counting a spouse.
Right. I mean, that there's a little wiggle room there, like depending on your relationship with your spouse.
Sure.
But and especially men tend to like trail off their friendships. Women seem to be much better at it.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. And what's funny? Wes had a guest on his show, and I'm going to butcher the specifics, but he played tennis in Iceland. No, he studied. This was like a neuroscientist or someone, and he studied primates, and the male primates had the same problem as men, as human men.
Yeah.
They had less friends as they got older. So it's something men need to work on.
We generally like to give our social lives to our spouses, and regrettably, it definitely happens.
Yeah.
So it makes good sense.
Yeah. So and then the last one is it has to do with religion. So we didn't really get into a specific religion or anything, but happy retirees were 1.5 times more likely to be happy if they had like a place of worship.
Huh.
So I mean, take that for what it is. It could just mean going somewhere to, get in touch with, yourself. We're not really delving into the specifics there, but that seemed to be important for people.
So I love this conversation. I'm looking at the clock. We're over.
Oh, okay.
And it's because this is, to me, very interesting. However, it is important that we are connected to something that's bigger than ourselves, which is generally what some sort of faith tradition can introduce to us. It's sort of like going into a job or going into an interview, right? You and I sitting down here, we could have talked about anything, but because we're talking about something that's larger than ourselves is interesting.
Yeah.
Right? It is. I think generally as humans, we're always looking for something that's more than the mediocrity of the moment, if you will.
Exactly. And it's funny you say that because for me, Dunwoody Dialogues is my place of worship. So here we are.
I love that. And with that, so that you can find out, I really do like that. You're like, good comedy. We got, we covered a lot of bases today. This is good. So, Ryan, share with everybody where they can find out more about you and especially where they can tune into the podcast.
Yeah, so the Happiest Retirees podcast, it's on all the places you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that.
Have you found that some retirees are, maybe your target audience is challenging? Is it hard for them to find the places to get a podcast?
Yes.
How do you fix that?
That's a work in progress because there's so many different places to listen that so far we're just trying to put it everywhere so that wherever they happen to go. I tend to send a link out that lists like, here you go, you can listen here. But I just went through this I was talking to my mom and she was saying, how do I listen to this or that? And I said, well, what do you use? Do you have Apple Music? And she said, I don't think so. But then we figured out she did,
Right.
but she just saw the icon. We didn't, what is this? So, that's a challenge.
But you're also not necessarily targeting people that are already retired. It's people leading into that space. And so the 50-somethings, those folks can probably find it pretty easily.
Yeah. And if you go, I'm part of the Retire Sooner team, so you can just go to yourwealth.com and find everything there.
That's easy enough.
Yeah.
That's good. So did you hear that noise in the background? That's my phone going off. I'm going to go put it back on silence because we ran so long. This is so funny. No joke. We talked longer than we should have. That I'm going to make sure I silence that. So that's why I was on my watch.
Oh, okay.
So, Retiree Sooner website. You go to Say that again.
Go to yourwealth.com. That's yourwealth.com.
And if you can't find that, look on our show notes. We'll put that on our show notes so we can find it easy. What if somebody wants to reach out to you specifically? Is there a way they can catch you?
Oh,
are you on LinkedIn? Are you on social or anything
yeah,
like that?
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter.
Wow.
Threads, Facebook. I'm on everything.
Annie's a dad of a 2-year-old. I'm not sure how you sleep.
Well, sometimes I don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Annie works with an East Coast company living in LA. So how many meetings start at your time at 6 a.m.?
They are very considerate about it. Every once in a while, they throw me one, and they must. I wonder how they think I look when I show up, because it can't be good.
Because, squinty eyes, the lights are on, or it's the classic Zoom where your camera's not on.
Exactly. Yeah. My camera isn't working. I don't know what's wrong.
I can't figure out this technology. Well, hey, Ryan, I so appreciate you being here.
Oh,
this was a fun conversation. Whenever you're back in Dunwoody for another meeting, if you want, you got more things you want to talk about that come up, I think that'd be great. So thanks for being here.
I just want to have fun Woody and Dunwoody. That's
look
my
at that.
goal.
I love that. I didn't even tell you to say that. I love that. You already know it all. So thanks again. We appreciate you being here. And thanks to all of you for watching. Once again, I'm Mark Galvin, your host here at the Dunwoody Dialogues. This show is produced by Discover Dunwoody, and our producer is Madison Holtz. She's totally flying solo this time. Emily, come back soon. We miss you. We want all of you to go out and get your Dunwoody stickers, so don't forget. Here's what's great. These Dunwoody stickers let everybody know all over the world that you are a proud Dunwoodian, and I love the price on these. They are free. So if you end up at NFA Burger and Billy Kramer tries to charge you for these, don't let him. Tell him you should get your own for free. And if he doesn't want to give it to you for free, go down to City Hall. There, they have them for free, or the library, or heck, come see us here at the worldwide headquarters of Discover Dunwoody. Thanks for watching us here. You can follow us on our social media channels. Discover Dunwoody is our handle everywhere. So definitely go check out our Instagram channel. We are sharing so many of the new things that are going on in Dunwoody, especially High Street. High Street's opening so many new things, and Campus 244 is coming along. Anything that's new in the city, we will be sure to share on our social media. You can all catch it there. Or go check out our website, discoverdunwoody.com. We have everything that's on our social media there, as well as listing all our restaurants and all our shopping and everything else, especially the hotels. You can find those all there. So, Ryan, once again, thanks for joining us. It was great fun talking to you. Welcome to Atlanta. We will miss you when you go back to LA.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me.
And all of you, thanks for watching. Now, go out and discover Dunwoody.